This episode is brought to you by McKay Photography Academy. Photography, travel, friendship, adventure. Visit mckaylive.com to learn more.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another Photo Mishmash. I'm Christina.
And I'm Toby.
And this is episode 64.
Welcome back, everybody. Did you miss us last week? We had a bit of a staycation, standing right outside waiting for the ice cream truck, which didn't come.
It did not come.
Nobody cares about that, though. What they want to know about is who we are and what this show is all about. This is our weekly photo mishmash, where we take the week's news, or in this case, the past 2 weeks, bits of news, discussion, videos I've watched, made, mash it all up, so serve it to you on a silver platter. I'm Toby, photographer and educator.
And I'm Christina. I am a full-time wedding photographer. And today's episode, we are going to talk about some news. We're also going to talk about, we're going to announce Instagram winners for the last 2 weeks, and we're going to announce the next Instagram challenge. So stay tuned for that during news. We're going to announce that during news.
That's right.
And after news, we are going to announce a very, very, very exciting giveaway, which we're very excited about. If you couldn't tell. No, I am actually, all joking aside, I think this is a really exciting giveaway.
It is without a doubt, I can say unequivocally, this is the most exciting giveaway that we have had the opportunity to host and be part of since this channel has begun. And we've had some nice giveaways even in recent history. So we're really excited to share a bit more about that. I know some of you out there have been trying to guess. I saw a correct guess, and it's really exciting. So stay tuned for more information about that.
Yep.
But let's talk a little bit about In Case You Missed It. Now it's been 2 weeks since we've all been around. The In Case You Missed It segment is mostly a chance for us to plug bits of things that we have done in the past 2 weeks, put online for you all, to make sure that you haven't missed it, in case you missed it. The first thing I want to mention is right after this video, last 2 weeks ago, I put up my opinion on the Nikon D5500 versus the Canon T6S. I stayed very unbiased in my review of those two cameras. I think everybody has some bias. It's hard not to. And I do have some Canon bias often because I'm very comfortable with Canon. But part of the reason I'm comfortable with Canon is because some of the features they offered. So in this video I share which of the two I would go with, and I chose Canon. Funny enough, I got accused of being sponsored by Canon. Clearly they hadn't watched the previous week's Mishmash, where I think, I laid it out there pretty hard. I was gonna say hardcore, not that hard. That Canon is falling behind, and things and companies like Sony are really stepping it up and pushing forward the technology of our cameras. Like this little guy right here, the Sony RX100 Mark IV. 960 frames per second, also 4K inside this little body. So it was just kind of funny. But my opinion is that for me, I would take the Canon. And I always run the risk, or when I write up my scripts or my talking points, I always, vacillate between saying too much, saying too little. And the only thing I regret from that video is saying more like, yes, the Nikon's better here or there or there. I should say, yes, the Nikon's a little bit better. But in day-to-day shooting, it's not enough of a major difference. And the major difference for me is how friendly the manual control is on the Canon T6S especially. So I appreciate that, and I would pick the Canon for walking out of the house most days. So that was one piece of news. If you haven't watched that, go take a moment to watch that. We'll probably come back to that video if we have a chance and read, because I asked people to share what their top three their top 3 points that they're looking for when they're shopping for a new camera.
Mm-hmm. And what have you heard?
Will you think about that answer for a minute? And we'll come back and ask you, when you look to buy a camera, what are the headline features that you want?
Okay. Sure.
She's excited about that. Christina is. All right. Another thing that went up this week is this came into the office, the house for review. This is the Laowa from Venus Optics 15 millimeter 1:1 macro. It is fully manual, including manual aperture, manual focus. It allows you to get 1:1, so that's a true, what I consider a true macro, although Canon likes to label some macro lenses.
With a big caveat.
Yeah, what is that?
That you have to get so close that like your subject's almost touching the glass.
Yeah.
Which makes it impossible, pretty much, to get any kind of usable macro.
Well, to get any kind of 1:1 macro, you can still get very good macro. Will you share over my screen for a second? I want to share a couple of the images that I shot with it so far.
So you can find the samples on photorec.tv.
Yes. In both cases, this insect and this grasshopper, the fly and the grasshopper, these guys were little, but this is also heavily cropped. But I'm impressed with the quality of this lens, very good. But it has a further trick up its sleeve, and Dalibor was mentioning this, and that is on the sides. And not only is it a macro, but it has a shift function that allows you to shift the plane. I can't do it right now because it's kind of stuck. It's hard without being attached to a body to give the space. But this whole mechanism, can you see that? It slides up and down.
Oh, I didn't realize that we were supposed to go back to...
Oh, yeah, sorry, back to me.
Okay, show us the
Well, I should have showed the picture first. So 6 degrees up and down, which doesn't sound like a lot. You can see how it's hanging out the bottom right now? I'm going to have a full review of this lens up sometime soon. And then up. Now it's up. You say, well, what good is that? And that's kind of how I felt. I was like, well, how much difference does that make? Can we go back to my screen for just a second? Testing your limits. It actually is a pretty significant difference. I know this picture is kind of small. If you, again, come to photorec.tv, you can see here is a shot of this house. I was standing in the middle of the street, and you can see that it looks like it's leaning back a little bit of distortion. When you shift the lens mechanism up, you get a much less distorted
Looks
view.
like the sky is darker too.
Well, you know what? It was just like a minute or two later that I actually took the second shot. So there was just a little bit of exposure difference. But it does change exposure within the camera as well. It's very interesting. So this is under $500. It's a very interesting lens. It's different. I think its uses are quite limited. But for some people, the price and the features it offers, it's interesting. So you came back to us. Great.
We need to put this back here so that it's
okay.
completely in the
We
frame.
need to put it back there. And there's one other, in case you missed it. Well, we didn't have a podcast last week or with this photo mishmash, but Roy nicely wrote up a post, and that's posted on the Facebook and also at photorec.tv, so you can go take a look at those. And Scott had a nice article about adapting lenses to mirrorless cameras, and he is currently shooting with a Fuji and a Sony, and he's got some adapted lenses, and he shares some samples and has some reasons why you might want to consider that.
It actually worked out perfectly that we didn't do a podcast last week because we were both really, really sick.
That's true.
So you would have heard us sniffling and coughing, and it would have been gross.
Yeah. We had planned to take a little bit of time off, but then during that wedding, I got progressively sicker, fever, sniffles. It wasn't pretty.
No,
So yeah, it worked out nicely.
So I feel like there were a couple more things that some people might have missed, but maybe not. No, I think that was it.
That was pretty much it.
All right, cool. So let's move on to news.
First bit of news that I want to mention, again, this is a little bit older than just the past week, but that is that Olympus has announced these little, what do you call these things? We need an Air for these, or a name for these. They call it the Olympus Air. This is the mirrorless micro four thirds lens style for your digital camera. It is basically a sensor and a lens mount.
And what do you put it on?
Well, you stick it onto your phone. It's got a little holder, so your phone.
On a particular phone, or?
No, it works with Android or iPhone.
And how do
Apple.
you plug it in?
It communicates wirelessly, Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, and then you just stick your micro four thirds lenses on there. So in effect, you are then making this, your phone, be the interface and the camera.
How does it mount?
It has a little clunk thing. I don't know if there's a good picture.
Clunk thing?
Yeah, it's got a little thing that clunks on. that holds. Kind of a little gripper.
And it's universal?
Yeah. I mean, I think.
All right.
Universal enough. I mean, it's pretty interesting. Can you show people this for a second? It's pretty interesting how that these are coming out. We have, I think Sony was the first with their Q series. Exact same thing, except the Sony's is for APS-C Sony E-mount lenses. This is for your micro four thirds lenses, which is a much bigger, because we got Olympus making that, we got Panasonic making that, we got a bunch of third parties making that, including Sigma. So there are a ton of micro four thirds lenses, and they're smaller than the APS-C. So that to me feels like a better fit. $300, you basically get a good micro four thirds camera. You just have to make
on your phone.
On your phone.
So a couple things though.
Yeah.
What's the sensor size?
Micro four thirds.
No, I'm sorry. What's the megapixel count?
Oh, it's a 16 megapixel.
So it's about.
It's the same as, it's basically what's in the GH4 that we're filming
How
with
many
now.
megabytes per picture?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, that matters because if you have an iPhone like mine with only 16 gigabytes of storage, you're gonna fill that up really quickly.
Well, these have a micro SD slot in them, so you can actually shoot into the device itself. You don't have to come over to the camera with the full resolution. You don't have to come over to the phone with the full resolution.
Okay.
Well, this first question of this show tonight is, are you all interested in devices like this? I have to say it's intriguing. $300 feels quite affordable for getting a nice sensor like that.
Just the sensor though.
Just the sensor, yeah.
You'd have to buy lenses for it.
I think this mostly appeals to people that maybe are already shooting with micro four thirds. Like we have one lens plus the Metabones adapter. You could be walking around shooting with the 70 to 200 to your iPhone. But
the micro four thirds aren't that much bigger than a phone, so.
Oh, Christina, yes they are. That's a significant difference in size. You can get bokeh out of that. You can get much better low light capabilities. Not to mention the fact that you can
get bokeh out of that.
Well, yeah. I mean, so you know.
Out of what? Out of the micro four thirds and not this?
Out of a micro four thirds sensor.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm saying no. You misunderstood me. I'm not saying that the sensor isn't that much bigger than a phone sensor. I'm saying that physically, micro four thirds cameras, the size of them, not the sensor, are not that much bigger than an iPhone. So why would you carry, or I don't know, why would you want to ditch your micro four thirds is what I'm saying, when you already have that nice sensor and that nice, not so big body.
I think that's a valid question,
I'm
curious to say.
I'm playing devil's advocate here, but at the same time, I feel like, if I already have a micro four thirds, then why am I going to get this thing and attach it to my phone?
Because it is smaller.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I mentioned the Sony. We have this, and we have the DxO particular thing, the DX1, I believe it was called, and that is an integrated system, no different lenses. Personally, I think if I was going to buy into one of these, I'd like one that allows me to put different lenses on it. That feels like it has a lot more growth potential and room for me to grow as a photographer versus the DX1 camera system. So
the deal with this is that you put it on your phone, you download maybe automatically low-res images that are appropriate for sharing on Instagram and things like that, and then you have the full res files
saved to the little micro SD.
Upload to your computer.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. I guess I can.
And you can, you basically turn your phone into an interchangeable lens camera.
Some people in the chat are saying it's a gimmick.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with them, but clearly they think there's a market for this, and Olympus, don't companies do this? They look over at Sony and say, well, how well are those selling? Let's figure out how well they're selling. And if it's total crap, then I would think they say, okay, let's not do that product. Or maybe, this was already in the pipeline and they said, oh gosh, those Sony ones aren't selling well, but we already started making these, so let's finish. I don't know. I've never seen anybody in the wild with these ever.
And Serial Cedo says, is the phone charged? Is the sensor charged? Don't forget both chargers if you're going to go out, which is a really good point.
Right. I bet it charges all from the same system, and so you could be charging everything from a little USB battery bit, but it is true. It's another thing you have to remember to keep up. And kind of since it fits into this, I'll just talk briefly. Again, the LG G4 I've been posting a fair number of Instagram photos directly from this, taken with this. And I think it was Jeff who made the comment, says, you know, are you even carrying a camera with you these days? And for the general, just walk out of the house down the street or go for a hike or go strawberry picking as we did this morning, the answer is no. The LG G4 is good enough for me. That doesn't mean it's as good as DSLR quality, but having the control and the image is enough that this is a nice memory and the quality is nice enough that I'm happy.
Nice enough for what?
Nice enough that I'm happy.
And can you print those pictures?
You know, I haven't tried yet, but you know, we should. I mean, yeah, I would think that you can.
All right. Next item on the news section is the new GoPro Hero 4.
Hero 4 Session.
So is there a GoPro Hero 4 and then a GoPro Hero 4 Session? Or,
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Well, we got the GoPro Hero 4s, the blacks, the silvers, just the GoPro
And
Hero.
the Session is this really small one?
The Session is the small one.
So this reminds me of
I know what you're gonna say.
Polaroid. Was it Polaroid that looked kind of like a little Instagram, you know, like the Instagram logo? That's what this reminds me of. And so I'm thinking GoPro said, hey, you guys, you're trying to rip off our product. You've got a great idea, but let us do it the right way. And so they did it even better.
Right. Well, that was my first thought as well, but the price difference between the 4 Session and the Cube is significant.
Well, that's what I'm
So
saying.
you're talking about the Polaroid Cube, $80 it's down to now.
Sure, but that's because it's probably not selling very well and because it's not as great a product,
Right.
I would think,
But
which is why it's not selling well.
how not a great a product is it at $80 compared to the sucker for $400?
So, okay, but hasn't GoPro reliably released like several really great action cameras that lots of people have been really excited about?
Well, this is, again, here's another question. I mean, I think that...
So you're probably paying for a lot of value, aren't you?
You're paying for something. I mean, this is this is an example, I think, of brands getting out there ahead of the game and kind of coasting to some degree on their name. Canon, the prices of some of these cameras when you look at comparing them to other values. GoPro, when you compare this to other things, $400 for this. Now,
So you're saying it's overpriced?
I believe it is.
Why?
Okay, good. I'll tell you why. Well, it's got a non-removable battery. We already know that GoPros have terrible battery life. This one has no indication that it is any better battery life-wise. It only 1080p at 60. So we don't even get any of the slow 4K for kind of the fun time-lapsey stuff and things like that. So you can step down to the GoPro Hero. You can step down to the GoPro Hero, the silver with the LCD screen and, you know, changeable batteries. So you got a lot of options. And this one at $399 feels overpriced. The good, very small, lighter weight. So if you're...
It's cute.
And it's cute. That's the most important thing. Is that number one on your list when you're looking for a new camera? It's cute? Mm-hmm. I'm just kidding. Yeah. Okay. So, you know, it's interesting. And I have a GoPro story to share at the end. I posted that Instagram picture of me wearing a skateboarding helmet, goggles, and a life jacket. And I said, I've got a story. I'm going to share it with you all at the end. It's not as exciting. You know, I post these pictures and then
It's not exciting at all.
Well, she's grumpy about it. It is a little exciting.
No, it's not.
I post these pictures and then people guess these things that are like, oh, well, that would be a lot better. Sorry, it's not that good. But I'll tell the story. It involves a GoPro, an 8-year-old, a canoe crash,
And stupid decisions.
and an accident. Can we move on now?
Apparently not.
What? All right, next.
I've been trying to move on from this for the last week, and you haven't let us.
You are just opening the door for everybody to come into this.
Yep, you did it. You want to talk about it?
We've got a new Nikon lens, a couple new Nikon lenses. First shows Nikon's clear, doubling down on the APS-C format, because this lens is a DX lens, which Nikon uses for their APS-C. It is the 16 to 80 f2.8 f2.4 ED-VR lens. And it's going to be coming in at, what was it, $1,200, I think? Is that correct? $1,066.95. Can you share my screen for a second?
I'm already sharing your screen.
So, I have no doubt that this will be a very good lens. But it is expensive. And to compare something like this to Sigma's 17-70 f2.8-4, and I have to imagine, which right now is something like $350, $370, I think. I have to imagine the difference is not going to be that huge, both in the aperture ranges offered. I imagine as soon as you start to zoom away from, you lose that f2.8 very quickly, and also in the quality. I imagine this will be, I'm guesstimating, because I don't have my hands on this yet, that, out to the corners it'll be a little bit sharper, but that Sigma 17-70 is quite good. I have a review from a year or two ago about that lens. I think that is a very nice lens, very affordable, and provides great quality. Decent aperture range. It's not great, because you end up at f4 at 70, but you know what? That's really not bad, especially for $350. They also announced two other lenses, the AFS 500mm f4 and the AFS 600mm f4. These are monster lenses. They're going to be amazingly sharp. They're coming in at $10,000 and $12,000.
Wow.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
But if you are a serious birder and you make a living from your birding, or
some extra cash laying around.
Yeah, if you have some extra cash laying around and you want to take nice wildlife pictures or nice sporting pictures.
At your leisure.
What?
At your leisure.
At your leisure, yeah. So, there we go.
All right.
What's next on our news list?
Next, Instagram has increased. So actually, Instagram has done a lot. It's made a lot of changes.
Well, it
was acquired by Facebook. I feel like it's becoming a Facebook-ish. Like now, when you look at the Explore section before when you were searching for people, now it shows you people, I think, near you or people that might be interesting to you and popular posts and things like that. When you search hashtags, it shows you 9 popular posts at the very top of the hashtag, and then it shows you the most recent ones. So it's very it's trying to be algorithmic. So it's kind of interesting. Anyway, they have changed the 640 by 640 pixel resolution to 1080 by 1080. I would imagine to accommodate larger screens and phone resolutions as they grow. So it's not yet official though, apparently. This is from...
Oh, it is now.
Oh, it is now?
Yep.
Okay. So this is from The Verge. I'm going to switch to your screen as soon as you get the article on
I have
here.
to go there.
This is from The Verge, and I guess it is now official.
Yeah, yeah, it's official, 1080. We talked about some of these news stories not talking about forever because how much more. It's nice that they've moved to 1080. The images are larger. This is all done on back end as well. And it's not clear to me, and maybe I didn't read the article close enough, but I think that you don't even have to go back and do anything with old, I know you can't do anything with old images, but I think those are going to just appear 1080 as well because they keep that in their databases, in their servers, and so they've just switched over now, is what they've done. So they look nice, and you can switch back to us. It's nice that they've done that. Somebody asked me why are we running these weekly contests on Instagram and why not something like Flickr?
Oh, on Instagram.
Yeah.
Instagram. Because Instagram is the SHIT right now. It's so popular right now.
It's fun. It's popular
growing.
and it's fun.
It's a great platform. It's a great social platform. There's it doesn't have. It's simple. There's not. You don't need to try to figure out how to use it. It's pretty intuitive, and I think it's pretty good.
Yeah. And yeah, I'd just say it's the fun factor and it has a newness to it. And do I think it's going to be the bee's knees forever and ever? No.
Maybe not.
But
for right now it is.
Right. I have never liked Flickr. Not disliked it, but never really liked it.
I used to like Flickr.
Did you?
I used Flickr for a long time. I used it as my portfolio, which we've talked about before.
Yeah.
All right. What is next?
Let's remind people that Amazon this is going to be a quick one. Amazon is saying that next July 15th, this will happen during our next week podcast because we will be back next week. No more staycations for us, although we are kind of staycation.
You are going to Iceland, so.
Yeah, well, that will be in August.
I know.
Okay.
But it's coming.
It's coming. Next July 15th. Amazon's going to have a Prime Day. They say this is going to be bigger for us than Black Friday. If you are a Prime member, you are going to get amazing deals. Are you excited?
No.
I mean,
There's nothing I want.
There's nothing you want?
From Canon?
Well, why has it got to just be from Canon?
Oh, is it just Amazon?
Amazon.
Oh, I'm excited about that.
Are you?
Yeah. The consumerist
Yeah, I know.
part of me is
we got to keep America moving.
Exploding.
I know. Well, folks, remember, there will not be amazing deals on current cameras. Retailers' hands are tied by the minimum price settings from Canon and Nikon, same as Apple. You just don't get these amazing deals. But we probably will see some great deals on SD cards, which are always nice to pick up a few more of those. Camera bags, maybe some third-party lenses. So pay attention, and you can jump in and be a Prime member for 30 days for free. If you're not, you might want to think about doing that. And I'll put a link in the show notes right down below because on links is the easiest way to support this work.
And you can also do like families. Like we have a Prime account that we share.
So much pointing.
That we share. And so you just only pay for one membership. And I don't get to see, for my account, I don't get to see movies and some of the other benefits, but I do get
I let you watch some movies.
The free shipping. Yes, I'm just saying that for my account.
Right. And you get the music and all those other things too. So that'll be interesting. I will be posting, and if you like what I do, if you're watching this because you like what we do, take the time to use our links next week, please. Yes. Thank you.
So Canon has announced a new flash, a new speed light. Canon 430? Is it 430 or 480?
It is the 430.
430 EX Mark III RT. So the RT means that it has a radio transmitter in it. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this. Why would Canon release... I guess, what are the main differences between a flash like the 430 RT and the 600 RT? So is one just a lot more powerful than the other? I know I owned a 580 or 430 for a while, and you don't have as much, I don't want to say latitude, but you don't have as many tenths of stops of control,
right? Yep.
When
power.
You're trying to
manually setting power.
Yeah. Yep. Right. Yep. So, but it works. It works as ETTL really well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. There are some differences. Some custom functions are missing from the 430, new 430 to 600. 600 offers something like 19 custom functions where you can really set that 600 up the way you want, and we do. Mm-hmm. There's also the distance. The power over distance. Mm-hmm. The 600 is more powerful. Mm-hmm. 600 also has a greater zoom. It can zoom out to 200. You can manually zoom on the back to make that head, or if you're using a lens, it knows and zooms.
And you can't zoom with the 430?
The 430 is limited to 105. The 430 matches their 24 to 105. And the 600, Canon 600, this is a young Nuo, but Canon 600 can go something from like 18 or 16 all the way up to 200. Maybe even 14 with a diffuser on it, I think. So, and now this I don't know yet. I was doing a little bit of research earlier today. I've put together a blog post. If you want to know more about it, go to photorec.tv, and there is a post about the new 430EX. Yeah, I don't know why we're going to Canon Rumors to talk about this. I have a post about it that makes some of the comparisons between the 430 and the 600. One of the things that's not clear, I'm seeing conflicting information, is whether or not that 430 can act as a master. Now, one of the things that always gets people confused in the first place is this whole idea of wireless flash. And with our T5Is, T6Ss, 70Ds, and that built-in flash, and Canon's wireless flash, remember that is optical wireless flash, which is technically wireless, but it's not Wi-Fi or radio transmission like we usually think. Rumors that that is coming with maybe the new 1DX replacement, and maybe we'll see that in the 5D Mark IV. That would make a lot of sense, right? Built right into the camera is an ability to control these wireless flashes. That'd be nice. That's kind of like a professional level version of what the 70D offers with that optical flash. The optical, it's not that reliable outside in bright light, over certain distances and certain conditions, and also in certain conditions that pre-flash that triggers the other flash can affect your exposure.
So here's another question I have for you.
I'm worried because I don't think you were just listening to me. Okay, but go ahead.
The Yongnuo.
Yeah.
What would be the Yongnuo equivalent to this new Canon flash?
There isn't one. Yongnuo only has one RT flash.
And it's still cheaper than the 400.
And it's still cheaper by a lot.
And it's like the equivalent of the 600.
Yes.
So if you're kind of considering getting that lens, I would just...
Are you coming around on this? Because I feel like you kind of poo-pooed this in the last couple of weeks. I've used it now at 2 weddings. It is, as far as I can tell, identical in performance.
I mean, I still am going to rely on Canon. One, because I have the budget for it. I mean, I feel like, it smells a little burny. Just a little.
Well, we don't have the smell-o-vision turned on, so they don't worry about it. I just hope it's not something burning downstairs.
That's what I hoped.
Well, we got adults downstairs besides just kids, so I'm sure it's fine.
Okay.
Do you want to say more?
Yeah, just that I think that if you were considering the 430, because this is so much more powerful and you have more control, I would just get the Yongnuo. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. What you mentioning that about saying I would still go with a Canon, I think is a great example of what a lot of people in the industry still feel, and that's why Canon is not dead. Definitely not dead.
No, far from it.
Far from it. But, they should be worried because of these Sony cameras. But I don't want to go that direction right now. But people feel like I pay a little bit more and I'm getting reliability. It's also true. If our Canons break, we know how to get those fixed quickly. If this Yongnuo breaks, I'm not quite sure. So there are drawbacks to saving $400. But, man, $124 versus $499 for the 600s from Canon, and these new guys are going to be $399. The 430EX3 RTs are going to be $399. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And this is $124. So.
Okie dokie. Let's move on to something a little different than news. We are going to announce our Instagram challenge winners from last week. I know that you had something else lined up, but I made the executive decision to just do this.
Did you?
I did. So,
okay.
Without further ado, get set up and I will switch to your screen.
Okay. Again, so you had 2 weeks to post your fire photos.
I will say that while I wasn't disappointed in the quality of pictures, I was disappointed in the quantity of pictures submitted. I feel like not quantity over quality, that's what I'm trying to say. I'm saying the participation wasn't as high as it had been. And maybe it's because we were gone for a week and we didn't really remind you guys and it wasn't that
Or maybe
exciting.
people out there are gone for a week.
Or maybe you're just busy, yeah. But it wasn't as, I don't feel like the participation was as high as...
I still had a difficult time picking winners. There were a lot of images that I really liked. There were enough that I was happy. I ended up picking for my winner Anne, who I think has won before, and has also made a comment about just recently, within the last year, picking up a camera and starting to shoot seriously. And you're doing a wonderful job. And I selected this image here of these candles lined up against the wall. You went there someplace that has the best homemade soda and took this picture. I really like how each candle has this individual glow that just starts to fade out, and then you got the next one, and they're just lined up. There's just enough space underneath of them. It's intriguing and a little bit of a mural on the wall. I just really like this image. And we are sharing my screen right now?
Yes,
we are. So that was the one I picked as a winner. It was difficult though. There were a lot of great fireworks images as well. And Mark Scone. I'm sorry, I don't know where the first name ends and the last name begins here. I picked yours as my favorite fireworks picture, which I knew we were going to get a lot of these. There's just something about the cleanliness of this image and the exposure. You just nailed this so very nicely. It's a great shot. I'd love to know what your exposure length was for this, and is it just one exposure, but you've done a really nice job there. And the next one that I picked is this one from 4089. I have some critiques of it. I'd like the guy to be a little bit further to the right. It doesn't really look like an example where you had a lot of control, and I'd like a little less foreground. But overall, I really like this image of this man silhouetted against what looks to be like right raging brush fire or bushfire. And I just really like it. There are a bunch of fantastic other fireworks pictures, some really clean ones, some just really nice. Lots of fun looking at those. So thank you everybody that participated. And now let's take a look at Christina's. You just picked 2 winners.
I picked 2 winners.
Everybody's a winner in your book.
Everyone's a winner. Only these 2 people.
Only these 2 people.
So I really liked the composition of this. I thought that it was very centered, and I think my favorite part about this picture is just the very, very subtly lit face of the person that's doing the fire painting or fire, whatever you call it.
Fire claws.
Fire claws. Yeah, and I like this picture
Great.
a lot.
It's very nice. It's a great image as well. Thank you, Cooper. And your other winner in your book.
I really love the tones of that. It's like just punctuated by the littlest bit of red. And it's not totally fire, but it's hot. It's hot like fire. Hotter than fire, actually. So, yeah, but the tones, the green, or not the greens, the blues and the grays and the
slates.
Yeah,
Yep.
those colors really appeal to me.
Instagram won't let me friend or like lots of things quickly. I try to go through and I look at each picture and I press the like button and go to the next one, and it doesn't let me do that. I go back and some of them are missing. Those were great. Thank you so much to everybody who participated. And now we're back to our 1-week challenge.
Next week, it's water.
Whew. We are coming up with genius ideas here, folks. Genius ideas.
All him.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me that genius credit.
And
next week, the week after that, will be so much pointing. Earth.
Toby will be posting an announcement on Instagram. If you want to follow us on Instagram, sometimes participate, but we figured we'd just kind of let you guys do the challenging photography. But if you want to follow us on Instagram, our usernames, my username is Christina Bernales, and your username is
Photorec Toby.
Photorec Toby. So, yeah.
And right from that exciting bit of news, let's talk about this giveaway.
Oh, I thought we were going to talk about some more news.
I thought you switched it up. So I said we're going to start talking about this giveaway. Let's start talking about this giveaway and take a few moments to do that now.
Let's wait a second. Roy wants us to remind people of the fire article.
That was also, in case you missed it, that went out. Sorry, that should have been in the top of the news or top of that bit. Roy did a nice post on how to capture. Is he talking about sparks, or is there another one that's going up? How to capture fire.
Yeah.
Different ways.
So if you didn't get the picture that you wanted out of 4th of July weekend, your fire picture, then go check out that article and make some cool stuff.
Make some cool pictures.
Photoreg.tv.
And it's really fun to read your friends' comments on your Instagram photos, because you post these neat pictures and your friends are like, wow! So it's fun to read those. I like that. It's neat. Now can we talk about the giveaway? Yes. I am making an executive decision.
All right.
Okay. This is exciting. We've given stuff away before. Stuff is fun. But now we have taken a time to partner with McKay Photography Academy, and through them are giving away an experience. I think it's safe to say it could be an experience of your lifetime. Well, it clearly would be an experience of your lifetime.
So I want to preface all of that by talking about, so yesterday we were making plans, so we're going to New Zealand, And actually, we have some great news aside from the giveaway that we're about to announce. That 2 spots in New Zealand have opened up. And we're going to New Zealand. We were looking at the itinerary or the tentative itinerary for New Zealand.
No, it's the itinerary.
And I was just blown away. I mean, like all of the places that we're going to go are incredible.
I know.
Just incredible.
I know. I have some images to share with folks when we get to that talking part. But let's stick to the giveaway right now.
Okay.
Because, it's clear we went to Italy. Amazing experience. And then we went to Yellowstone, which I think we both were excited about, but we didn't expect to be blown away at the level because we'd been to Italy. We were like, yeah, this is great. Amazing European venture. And here in our own home country, it was awesome. I mean, Yellowstone in winter was amazing. And what you get a chance to win is Yosemite in winter. So McKay Photography Academy is adventuring to Yosemite next January, and you have a chance to win.
What do you get if you win?
You get your airfare from someplace in the U.S. This is a U.S. contest only. To California. All of the details are in the rules. I'm going to gloss over the rule bits because you don't need to know all those. You can go read them and you should. You get the complete trip. And that complete trip, of course, is an amazing experience with McKay Photography Academy in these locations. I've talked about this before when we've talked about going on these trips. What's that?
Lodging?
Yeah, it's all that's all part of the trip.
Okay.
So basically, almost everything except maybe like the stuff you're going to eat is included.
Yeah, like breakfast is included, lodging
If the
is
hotel has
included,
it, right.
Airfare is included, instruction is included, the trips from location to location are included.
Right. The total retail of this package is almost $2,000. This is a serious experience that you could go on. And I've talked about this before. I think there is from some people, especially us who like to sit behind our computers, some nervousness about going out there and somebody judging our photographic skills. The thing that we love the best and what really matches nicely with McKay Photography Academy and our channel is I don't think you get that from us, judginess. I hope you don't feel like we ever judge because we want just everybody to be having fun with their cameras, taking pictures, and that's exactly what McKay Photography Academy is like. David, Allie, Adam, Nick, all of those guys are just super helpful, super friendly. And again, I look back at the pictures I made over the past year and my top pictures were made on these trips. The bears, the lions, the tigers in the Yellowstone and the animals of Montana trip, the Yellowstone scenery, and then the Italy coastline, some of the food we ate. Yes, some of those pictures are my favorite pictures from this past year. This is what you do with your stuff. We talk about this stuff, it's fun, but you need to get out there and experience some of these amazing places. Do it alongside people who can help you get amazing pictures. Keep wanting to use the word amazeballs tonight, and I think now is the time to use it. It's going to be an amazeballs experience.
Yep.
Everything you need to know is at photorec.tv/giveaway. No catches to this other than that I said US only, and you'll be signing up for mine and McKay Photography Academy's newsletter. So we'll send you occasional newsletters, and that's it. Go enter, sell your friends out because you can get bonus entries by having your friends sign up as well. And it's just an awesome experience. Please go sign up because you do want to win.
Yeah.
Oh, and a huge thanks to McKay Photography Academy for sponsoring this giveaway. And also the sponsor of tonight's podcast. And we'll be talking a little bit more about New Zealand when we finish the rest of the news.
Okay.
Okay. So if you've got any questions, leave them right down below. And if you would like to join us on one of these photo trips, you could just go sign up for their newsletter so you know about these upcoming trips anyway. Some of them sell out so quickly. And a lot of people that go on these trips went on previous ones. And I think that says a lot right there. So we'll come back, talk a little bit more about New Zealand because I do have some pictures to share with you because you have a chance to join us in New Zealand as well. But for now, let's get back to the news and talk a little bit about the dehaze filter.
We already talked about that.
Yes, but somebody, and I thought, gosh, why didn't we do this? Because when we watched that podcast or that little preview of the dehaze coming, you were like, well, I can already do this. We should have made a preset because somebody else did that. They're giving it away free, which is very nice.
Wait.
So
they made a preset? Who made a preset? Please explain this to me.
yes,
I don't understand.
Prolost.com made a dehaze preset for all of folks who are not on Lightroom Cloud, Lightroom CC. So if you have an older version of Lightroom and you would like to be able to dehaze your images, you can click a preset.
Here's the thing though. I was talking about it with my friend Steve Holmes, who is a wedding photographer, and he's done some testing for Lightroom before. He's not doing it anymore, but he has done before. And he got the dehaze tool when it was released for the public and was playing around with it a little bit. And he says he likes it, and that, you know, we didn't talk about it in too much detail, but it sounded to me like it wasn't necessarily a preset. Like it wasn't a combination of things that you can already do in Lightroom. Like it does something different to the image that you can't just achieve by turning dials and sliding handles on.
But you can get close. And if you have no other option, I think this preset is nice, and it's nice that these folks are giving it away free. I remember photo show notes are all going to be linked right down below this video. They're not there right now for the live folks, but they will be shortly after this is done. And one catch that I see Roy just put in the chat is that dehaze preset only works for 6.1. Well, that's confusing because is there 6.1 that's non-CC? I thought there was only 6 for non-CC.
Well, it is 6. It's CC, the most current version. It still comes out in different versions, even if it's CC.
Yes, but if you have CC, you have the dehaze function, and you don't need to go to this preset as a way to do it.
Right.
You only need to go to the preset if you don't have CC, and I thought that was just 6.
Roy is saying that dehaze only works in Lightroom CC 6.1, the most current version of Lightroom. That's what Roy's saying. Okay.
One more bit about dehaze I think was interesting. Somebody tried it on their picture, and can you share my screen for a second? And it works on underwater pictures as well. Look at this. Here is the original, and then they dehazed it. And you can see that it did a nice job of getting rid of that kind of water murkiness. We don't talk about underwater camera stuff too often, but the most important thing for me is having a camera, if you're going to shoot underwater, having a camera that can shoot raw, because it is nice to have as much ability to crunch that with that data as possible, because you get different, you get color casts, you lose your red colors underwater, and so yeah, it's nice. It's one of the things GoPro is a little like underwater, but it's so easy. It's one of the reasons it works. All right. And this, I like this because this is from Petapixel. Are we still sharing my screen? This is a once-in-a-lifetime rhino photo that was taken after 7 hours of waiting. I get a lot of questions about, I want to be a wildlife photographer. In fact, just recently, for the first time, I got a question. Somebody said, what should I major in college? And I thought, you know what, buddy? That's probably not the best way to go about being a wildlife photographer. You're gonna put the time into it. Again and again and again, it comes back to the time. And this is a great example, in this case 7 hours, but if you read this article, this was part of a trip that was 18,000 miles, 12 countries, and 30,000 plus photographs. And one of them was this, a rhino getting a drink of water right at sunset. Now this gentleman, Johan Georgette, waited 7 hours in this location. And so again, serious about getting a good wildlife shot. It's not about you going to where the wildlife is. Well, that's the first step. But then it's you waiting for the wildlife to show up. It takes just a lot of time and effort. And I just think some people think that they're going to buy a big lens, they're going to walk out into the woods, and they're going to take an amazeball shot of something wild. And it just doesn't happen that way. But this is a absolutely gorgeous picture. The rhino reflected, the silhouette, so nice. And so huge congratulations to Johan, and he says it's a shot of a lifetime, and he's selling prints of this and donating 50% of the proceeds to save the rhino. So that's great. I like that. That's a nice story. All right. Next bit of news. You want to talk about this Washington newspaper solves the concert problem. So we talked about this. Taylor Swift, or is it on us right now? Taylor Swift having those draconian copyright rules and regulations for her photographers, basically saying you get one shot at using this picture and then, blah, blah, blah. It's not even yours. The Washington Post says, who was it that was coming to Foo Fighters? They have a similar contract. And so the Washington Post said, we're not even going to bother to send a reporter to take pictures because your contract is so onerous that we're just not going to do that. So we're just going to buy a picture from a fan and use that in our paper. So that's interesting. It has both positive and negative connotations because we're talking once again about, kind of crowdsourcing professional photography. So they're probably not going to be the same. But then at the same time,
well, the photographers are going to lose out completely.
Yes, the photographers do lose out completely. Right. Sorry. Good point. But at the same time, you could get some interesting shots that showcase it from a very different point of view. Again, if there's
and lots of really blurry shots.
5,000 people, right? So they should pay a photographer. This would be like salt in the wound, but they should pay a photographer to go through all of the pictures submitted and pick better ones. Then it's kind of like the best of both worlds.
Okay.
All right.
So a Portland photographer has sued a city after being accused of a trademark violation, and this is all after. Oh, so this is sort of in the related. Do you guys remember when Europe decided that they were going to kind of copyright everything, all of the pictures?
In fact, that vote is tomorrow.
Okay.
So if you are a European citizen or if you're just a concerned citizen of the world, you should take a moment and write somebody and say, what are you thinking? This is a ridiculous vote. But we've got a story from here in the U.S. It's kind of similar.
So a photographer was billed $100 from the city for selling his own photographs. So a photograph that he took.
Of a city sign.
Right. Apparently he had to pay some kind of royalty to the city. Is that the deal?
That was the deal. But here's the funny thing. His print that he was selling was of the sign before the city bought it and changed it. And so therefore the city cannot have a trademark over something that was before they owned. It's just ridiculous. And so he got a lawyer. He pointed that out to them and they were like, oh, we're so sorry. Totally a mistake. Please drop your lawsuit. We've dropped ours. And they've backed way off. But again, why? What does the city gain out of that? Isn't it free publicity for them to say, look at all these beautiful pictures of our signs. Look at Las Vegas Strip, the old iconic Las Vegas Strip sign. Yes, I mean, the Las Vegas and Nevada has not copyrighted that or trademarked that, and you can take pictures of it, and you can do whatever you want with those pictures. Why? Because I'm smart, and they say more people will see them, and they say, that's cool, let's go photograph it, or that's cool, I want to go gambling, and they end up in Las Vegas and lose all their money, and Las Vegas wins. Whereas if they say, oh, you took a picture of that sign and you sold it, now you have to pay us $100. Come on, Portland. That's silly, but luckily they realized how silly it was. But we might see something like this across all of Europe. We're going to spend a little time in France this year. We're going to take a picture of the Eiffel Tower. If for some reason we sell it online, are we going to get a bill in the mail? $100 we owe France, le Français.
Anyway.
Okay.
Moving on.
It's just, everyone. I feel like the world is moving forward, and lots of like human rights are getting better, and
I think
things like that. But then you have these. Who thought this was a good idea? Somebody needs to be slapped multiple times.
So I think we should maybe leave some of these stories for next week and get started on reader questions, because we've already been going for an hour.
Okay.
And
I'll just add that, again, show notes down below. We probably won't come back to talk about it next week. That on Kickstarter, there's these really neat modular controls that you snap together, like magnets, dials, sliders, that become physical access into Lightroom sliders. You can program them to whatever you want. I wanted to mention this because you have set up your own macro system that works well for you. And what program do you use for that?
I use Keyboard Maestro.
Keyboard Maestro. So it's not as sexy as these cool magnet pop things together, but it's probably a little more affordable. How much is Keyboard Maestro?
It's not really that affordable because it's customized in a particular way.
I'm using an ice cream truck.
So.
We have people getting me what I want. So, and then there's a submarine for a GoPro.
Was I asked what I wanted for ice cream? It's not taken into account whatsoever, was I?
I put money on the table downstairs and I said, when the ice cream truck comes, here's the money. And then Nat said, what do you want?
All right.
And I said, blood orange, tiger blood orange snowball. Okay. We're going to get to reader questions in a minute, but first, as we mentioned, you have a chance to join us in New Zealand. Now, it might sound like we've been saying for a while that there's 2 slots available. It actually was sold out for a while, but then some poor folks had a life-changing experience they're not going to be able to come. So that's your benefit in that there are 2 spots available for this New Zealand trip with McKay Photography Academy and Christina and I. It's funny because we're going on a couple of these trips over the next couple of months, year, let's say. And so we've got different parts in brain. Like right now, Iceland gear is in my brain. What am I taking? What do I need to do to make sure I have in the house before I leave? And then we've got just kind of longer logistics about the Greece trip and getting back in time for a wedding. And then we just booked the New Zealand airfare. And so that is just starting to come into my brain. And I was going back through the tour packet of this trip and just thinking about what an amazeballs experience this trip is going to be. I'm going to hit a couple of the highlights. Can you share my screen for a second? Of some of the things that we're going to do on this trip. You're going to be put in places where you can make amazing photos and again, come back to that, have an amazing experience and an adventure. We've got the Cathedral Cove. It's going to be part of this tour. I think that's just outside, is it Auckland? Not too far. Beautiful, beautiful place. Then we're spending some time in the area of Rotorua. I don't know if I'm saying that exactly right. To me, that feels a little bit like Yellowstone. Tons of geysers and geothermal activity. Huge center of the Maori culture is there as well, so we get to spend time with those folks. And again, photographing, adventuring, learning, putting into practice day and day again your photographic skills. So you get all of these different kind of experiences. We are spending some time down at Lake Pukaki, which has this gorgeous water. Have you seen this, Christina? Mm-hmm. It's got that glacial silt in it, which gives it that turquoise color. We have these snow-capped peaks in the background. Joe is going along with us. He is a Photorec.tv fan, member, viewer, reader. He lives here in the U.S., and another nice thing about this trip for us U.S. folks, or Northern Hemisphere folks, I should say, is it's going to be basically summertime, or it is summertime down there. And so this will be an amazing time to spend away from Vermont and in New Zealand. We're spending some time in the Fiordland National Park, which is a World UNESCO Heritage. I'm probably mashing up a different words together there. Again, they got this gorgeous water. We're going on several cruises and through these areas. Just look awesome. Then down outside of Queenstown, we are doing the Skyline Gondola. And David and I are working and talking about some night sky photography happening down here. It was actually Joe again who wrote and said, you know, New Zealand, we might have some really clear weather. The moon is great, and I looked it up, and yes, on this night, there is no moon during the night. We could have, we never weather dependent, but we could have some amazing sky opportunities down here as well. So think about it. And if you're interested, go to mckaylive.com and we'll put a link right down below. The very first link right down below will be the giveaway link, and then right after that will be an opportunity to read yourself more about this New Zealand trip and sign up for more information. And I hope you'll join us. It's going to be a fantastic adventure. All right?
All right.
Good. Are we ready to do
For
some
what?
reader questions?
I don't know. Are we?
I think so. I think is there a snowball out there? Awesome. Look what I got. We can share it.
No, thank you. You can have it all.
I'm the one that put the money down there.
That's fine.
Okay. Ursula's got a question. It doesn't taste that good. It's just a fun experience.
Of not getting the snow, the shaved ice yourself and having somebody get it for you.
Yeah, because you get to do the
But you didn't do it.
That's why I'm saying I'm a little bummed. I'm still a little bummed. They get the liquid out of the truck. Ursula's got a question. She's leaving for Barcelona tomorrow. Woo, that is exciting, Ursula. She would like to shoot an HDR pano in the Sagrada Familia. Since I suppose the tripods...
Sagrada Familia.
Thank you. Since I suppose the tripods won't be allowed, I need to be ready to shoot handheld. I'm considering using my 40mm pancake lens since it's the fastest one I own. However, if I open the aperture too wide in order to keep my shutter speed high enough to avoid motion blur, won't that make my depth of field too shallow? Or perhaps I shouldn't be afraid to bump my ISO instead and keep my aperture around f8. Any advice? I don't know what this place is, so it's indoors. It must be a beautiful cathedral or something. Anybody know? Let's paste and see what Google shows us for pictures. Oh, a gorgeous, gorgeous cathedral. So you're going to be inside. It's going to be low light. I don't think you need to go to f8 with the 40mm. I think f4 should be fine. And you're going to be focusing a good bit away from the lens. That's going to give you enough depth of field that you're going to be fine. Wouldn't hurt to do a couple. Do one at f2.8 to try to keep that ISO down, but do one at f4. And yeah, don't super stress about your ISO if you can get that exposure in the middle. Remember, if it's underexposed, if a lot of areas, and this does happen inside cathedrals, if a lot of areas are underexposed, when you kind of bring that up in post, that noise really comes out. So you're a little bit better off trying to avoid those shadowy areas as best you can by exposing just a little bit brighter when you're taking the picture, a little bit. So that is my recommendation. f4, maybe f5, 6, but not f8. Not f8. And the 40 would be good. The 40 is nice because it's going to be without too much distortion. That's a nice focal length on your crop sensor. Next question. Are there tigers at Yellowstone? I think I finished explaining myself. So there was two parts to that trip. McKay Photography Academy also partnered during that trip with Animals of Montana. And that is a gentleman and an organization that has a variety of animals, some native to the United States, some not, like tigers. And we had a chance to photograph them incredibly up close, and it was just an amazing experience. You're making me feel really guilty.
Why? Cameron wants to know if we are doing the yellow Yosemite trip.
You know, we got to talk to David.
We don't know.
We don't know. We haven't worked all of those details of us out yet.
Jeffrey DeMeyer wants to know what's the funniest thing Christina has experienced during a wedding shoot. I don't know what the funniest thing is. Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of anything.
The gentleman who split his pants wide open.
Oh, that was pretty funny, yeah.
You don't sell it very well. They were a lot of fun. They were a cute, fun couple having a lot of fun at their wedding. He went to photobomb the bride and sister and mom's portrait picture. He jumped up in the background, split his pants wide open in the crotch. So then, he was quite happy about it. He thought it was fun. He went inside and spent some time sewing up his crotch. And I have some pictures. And he was wearing very colorful boxers underneath as well. It was fun. I enjoyed that. Am I reading all the questions?
Are you able to? Can you read your own questions?
Sure, I can.
Okay.
Why are they my own?
Read and eat at the same time?
I know. What's our favorite pocket-friendly or jacket point-and-shoot camera? Well, I'll be honest. have trouble saying it's worthwhile to go to something like this, although the Mark IV does make a strong argument, being that much better than a cell phone or smartphone if you have a decent smartphone. If you carry around a decent smartphone, that's my favorite. If you don't, the Sony. It is great. Even the older ones, if you don't care about the higher speed or the 4K, they are very nice. I don't love the form factor. I mean, you're caught in this kind of like in between, like it can fit in a pocket, but then when you go to hold it, it's just very small. But what it can do is amazing, and you know, the argument for something like this is you get a really nice glass in here with a decent amount of zoom, and you have the ability to do that crazy high speed frame rate, which you get 240 I think in these, in the iPhone you can get up to, but the quality is not as good. 960 frames a second, that's impressive. So these little Sonys I like a lot. Ideas on the 6D Mark II from Viper XYZ98. We're hearing spring of next year. I know that feels like a long way away. Also hearing that will move slightly up market and be a little bit more of a serious camera, which is good because it is a nice entry to full frame, but it's lacking in several areas as far as focus goes, flash sync speed. So it'll be nice to see that move up. I know a lot of people are hoping for an articulated screen, or at least it sounds like a lot of people are. We'll see. Be curious.
Aubrey JK wants to know what our opinion is on posting prices on our website, specifically for senior portraits and headshots. I would post starting prices. I mean, unless you have a very clearly outlined price sheet, and your prices aren't really going to change based on the, I don't know. I mean, I've seen people who have posted whole price sheets, and I have seen people who have posted nothing. Definitely don't post nothing, because it drives me nuts when I go to look at a service and there's no information about pricing. I just skip it completely. So put down a starting price at least, and some information about what that starting price includes. So for me, for example, I put down my prices start at such and such. It includes this and this and this. And then, you know, we also offer this and this for, you know, contact us to find out more. But people need a little bit more information than just like, you know, who you are and to see your pictures. I think that's helpful.
Okay. Nate wants to know what's a good underwater camera for photos and videos that is affordable. Well, I mentioned at the beginning, GoPro, you know, is apparently waterproof for several days underwater. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. But those are good. But that goes against what I said. I like to have raw capabilities. The newest Olympus waterproof camera, PSG some number, I can't remember which one it is very good and does give you raw capabilities, and that's nice. So that probably would be my. Another option is the G series Canon, and then get yourself a nice waterproof housing, because then you've got decent sized pocket, almost pocketable friendly camera that you can throw in a waterproof housing and have very nice control underwater. So, but this is getting out of the affordable range. The Olympus, let me look it up real quick, would be my next pick. And Christina, what was the next, why I look this question up, this answer up?
Could you get away with a monopod? I need a little more information.
Yeah.
What are you trying to do? Nicholas Strick wants to know, lens baby lens for flower photography. I don't know, I'd get the Edge 80 maybe. Yeah, because you can really isolate things, and it's a little bit, so it's got a little bit of a, I guess all lens babies have a very creative kind of tilt shift effect that you can do on pictures. So I don't know, I'd say the Edge 80, just because it's, there's some compression and it's kind of a nice versatile lens.
It's the Olympus Stylus Tough TG4 digital camera. It has a nice backside illuminated sensor. It has 4x zoom. It's got full 1080p with Wi-Fi, GPS, raw capture, and live composite, microscope, and underwater modes. So cool. That would be my pick. It's $329, and I think that's an affordable price for an underwater camera.
Another question from Nate. Could you make a video about composition or tips? We have a video about composition, don't we?
He says, or trips. We do have a short. We got that Think Before You Click series, and one of those in there is composition. We want to do more of those soon. And a video about trips. Well, I'll be talking more as I get closer to preparing for the Iceland trip, which is in about just a little bit less than a month now. I'll be talking about what I'm taking and why. One word of warning, you may remember I've been saying I'd like to travel lighter. I've pretty much given up on that for a couple reasons. The first being this stuff I do here. I feel like if I was just going out shooting myself, I would try to travel fairly light, but I want to bring along as much stuff as I can. I love using stuff for real when I'm making the reviews. I see such a huge difference from having a piece of gear in the office for 2 weeks and trying to come up with a review about it, or actually going out and using it like a real human would for 2 weeks. There's a significant difference in what I can share with you and my opinion of it when I get to do that. So I'm going to be bringing along a lot of stuff. But we can certainly make some videos about trips. Speaking of that, one of the things that won't be coming along on that trip, but its relative will, this is the Canon EOS 5DS. 50 megapixels. It's pretty amazing how much you can zoom into pictures and get just an immense amount of detail. It does very quickly show some lenses that are poor, but I do plan, I think it'll work out, to bring along the Canon EOS 5DS-R to Iceland, along with a nice lens or two from Canon, as well as the Sony I should have by then as well. So we'll see. Daniel wants to know, he's shooting with a D810. What lenses should I get to get the most out of that sweet 36 megapixel? I want to start printing large. The Nikon 24-70 is very good. Some of those prime lenses, but probably the Nikon 24-70 would be my first kind of general walk around. Nikon also has an amazing wide angle lens. Is it the 14 to 20 range? Excuse me, I think it is, and those two lenses right there should be a good staple for a nice camera like that. Darren wants to know, would we buy the D7100 or D7200? You do a lot of lightning and hummingbird photos. You know, I still have not had my hands on the D7200 yet. It sounds like a nice but mild upgrade from the D7100. I don't see any huge reasons why the D7200 would be a better buy or the D7100. I think I would put that savings towards a really nice lens, and you'd be better off. Unless, I can't think of any major features the D7200 has. Wi-Fi, and the D7100 does not. You have to get that little dingle-dongle thing for it, I think. So. You know, Wi-Fi is a lot of fun for me. I like that cameras have it for easy sharing to Instagram and in that intermediate, and being able to control a camera at times as well. It might be nice to set up the Hummingbird camera remotely and then fire it from the, the safety of your porch, not that Hummingbirds are attacking you. So, good.
All right. So that is the end of the show, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back next week. So if you missed the show, the live show today, don't worry. Just catch the next one next week. And don't forget to enter the giveaway that we have partnered up with McKay Photography Academy to bring to you. We're really sorry that all of our international audience cannot enter, but we're really excited about this giveaway. And head over to photorec.tv/giveaway to enter, and head on over to mckaylive.com to find out more information about their trips, upcoming trips. Yeah, and if you want to follow us on Instagram, follow our usernames down below on the screen right now. And yeah. Anything else to say?
We're sticking around for a few minutes to tell the rest of the GoPro story.
The after show?
The after show. So those in the chat room can stick around, and we'll answer a few more questions, and you can watch me eat my red food coloring and high fructose corn syrup.
Goodbye, everyone.
Thanks for watching.